It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is Dokken from the Live 81. And opening up the show tonight, we heard Keel with Speed Demon. And this is Neeley rocking along with my own Speed Demon, the one and only Chris Aiken. What's going on, Chris?
Ahuru.
What's that?
I said ahuru, Neeley.
Aruhu or Aruhu. How do you say that?
Ahuru.
Ahuru.
Right.
That means sweet freedom in Swahili.
Yes. That's dark speak, as they call it.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
All right.
What's going on?
I am back. I am back from a little excursion to the Midwest, upper Midwest, I guess.
Yep.
And I'm here. I made it out. I made it back.
Well, your flight was today, right?
Yeah, I got home at 6:30.
Oh, wow. So you didn't even have time to take a nap, huh? You just
I wasn't really tired. I slept till about 11 o'clock this morning.
Okay. What time did you go to bed?
I probably hit the sheets about 3.
Okay.
So I got about 8 hours.
All right. At least you got some sleep. I was thinking you would probably be out partying with the band until whatever.
You know what? They had to catch a flight this morning because they're leaving for Japan in the morning, from their respective homes in L.A.
Okay.
And so I helped Don pack up his stuff and, get him ready to go out, and then he can take a nap, a couple hours. And because they had their flights left at 7, so they had to be at the airport probably by 6:30.
Oh, wow.
So it was already 3 o'clock, so he got about 2 hours of sleep.
Right. Oof.
Then he had
they'll have what, between 9 and 13 hours to sleep on the plane.
Yeah, well, the thing is they all flew home. Don lives in Beverly Hills, and I think George lives in Valencia, which is north of L.A., and I think Jeff lives in the South Bay, just south of LAX, and Mick lives in Phoenix.
Okay.
So they all had to go home and get their gear together to go to Japan. So they flew out early this morning. They've had today to do their running around and last preparation because I guess they fly out tomorrow morning, Sunday morning.
Right. Okay. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah. So, the show went well. I did hang out quite a lot.
Yeah, I would say. God, every time I turned around, there's more pictures of you popping up.
Yeah. But, Don, you know how Don is. When I'm around, he depends on me to be there.
Yeah, sure.
And, I won't get into all of it now, but I'll take a part of the show tonight and kind of give you the whole update. But,
okay.
It was really too much involved for the week that these guys should have been rehearsing and doing all the things, but between all the press and the promos and the meet and greets and the special events and the radio and the TV and it was more promotional than it was actually getting together and working the songs out.
So maybe they should have if they had a chance to do it again, maybe they should have gotten together last week.
Yeah, but the thing is everybody was on tour last week, so they should have postponed some of their shows because, as you know, Don's lineup of Dokken was down the street from your house.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And Don then left Cleveland and went straight to Sioux Falls.
Okay.
And then George Lynch was supposed to be here in Chicago before that promoter stiffed him.
Right.
He was supposed to play last week at here in Chicago, and then Mick plays with Don.
Right.
And then Jeff, he just got off the road with Foreigner.
Oh wow.
So they all had their respective bands doing stuff all the way up to the time they were to convene in South Dakota.
Sure. Okay.
But then by the time that they got there, the owner of Badlands Pawn, he had so many things scheduled for them. Obviously, he owns the K-Bad radio station that I did a little 10 or 15 minute deal with Ron Keel. And then they have the TV station, and then, they had all these meet and greets, and they did all these poster signings, and it was just a whirlwind. They did practice and they did rehearse, but they could have done more.
Right. So old Chuck Brennan was getting every dime worth.
He really was.
Well, good on him. That's what he's paying for.
Well, Don says, just the monkeys here performing. Just the monkeys here performing. Look at my monkey suit. But I will go into full detail about the week out in Sioux Falls, and then I will give you blow by blow, and I won't disappoint some of those people who commented on the Facebook that, Neely's just going to say everything was great, man. Yeah. Everything was great.
You want me to read it?
I have it right go here. Ahead and read it. Go ahead.
It, of course, was Dan Pate.
Who is that guy? Who is that guy?
I don't know. He's a listener. He's a fan. He says, "Oh, I'm sure we're going to hear Neely on what a great place Badlands Pawn is. How the food and drinks were great. How impressed he was with everything. Was so professional that they had their own brand name everywhere. How it was great to hang with the band, etc. What I really want to know is what he thought of Don's performance. From what I saw and heard, it was not good. Cringeworthy. Also, his thoughts on how they are ever going to release that for DVD without having to do a lot of work on Don's vocals. Mm-hmm. This could possibly be more of a disaster than Van Halen's live release with Roth."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read that. I was just like, okay. All right. We know whose camp we're in, Mr. Pate.
Yeah.
We know that George Lynch is doing a little chin painting.
There you go.
Yeah. So I will cover that. I do have things to say. I do have an honest opinion, and I do have and I do have some behind the scenes stuff that people just don't realize goes on.
Right.
It'll make your head spin.
Yeah, I don't doubt it even for a second.
Yep. So we'll do that at the top of the next hour. Well, I will give you the whole Dokken experience.
All right.
Yeah, but it was definitely interesting. It was fun. It was stressful, even for me. I'm not a stressy guy, but I did get involved in the mix, and I was very much part of making this thing happen. So
it was stressful for you?
A little bit.
And I'm glad I didn't go.
A little bit. It wasn't like tearing your hair out. It's one of more or less the whole shake your head thing. It's like how could this happen?
Right. Okay.
That kind of thing.
Right.
So anyway, we will talk about it in great depth. So for those of you who want to hear all the Dokken tales, I will tell you everything you want to know.
Okay.
So I will be very open. I will be very honest about it, and I will tell you about some of the behind-the-scene things that went on that was just like, holy fuck, are you kidding me? So, but yes, it was a lot of fun for me and interesting, and it went off, and believe me, what you see on YouTube or on Blabbermouth or whatever the case may be, you're not getting the full scope, because watching something on a cell phone video, It isn't everything that it's cracked up to be.
Sure.
So, and I'm not making any excuses for anybody or anything here at all. I'm just going to tell you what you see and what you hear is two different things.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
All right.
But anyway, you had somewhat of an eventful day, I guess, yesterday. You went to a concert at Tangier's?
I did. I went to the Tangier to see the Babies. It was fun. It was a good time. You want to talk about it now, or you want it later?
We'll do it later. I just kind of want to get everybody warmed up to what they can expect in the show tonight, because we're going to just talk about shit. It's not necessarily topical stuff, but so much as just, hey, this is what I did, and this is what happened, and this is how it all played out. And if you like that kind of stuff, great. If you want to live vicariously through Chris and I, fantastic life experiences, you can stick around and listen. If you think that we're a couple of blowhards, oh, you're just bragging, man, then you can tune out.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this much. I'll give my little tease from the Babies.
Yes.
There was definitely one moment that I absolutely made one person beyond uncomfortable.
I heard about that you did something with a waitress.
Yeah. And she was beyond uncomfortable.
I'm sure.
And then I will also tell the story of a person that I'll just call the fat cunt.
Okay.
Because I definitely, not my normal bite somebody's head off. I actually played it cool, which was stunning.
Sure.
But definitely ran into a fucking asshole last night.
All right. Well, that's always fun in some regard, especially if you make them look idiotic.
Well, I won't have to work too hard for that.
Sure.
She was a real fucking piece of shit.
All right. I'll be looking forward to hearing that story.
All right.
And then, of course, here I am way out in South Dakota, away from home, out in the middle of farm country, more or less, in the Badlands. Right. And guess what? Mr. Neeley here gets recognized by several people. What a surprise at a Dokken event, of all things.
Well, to compete with you, I, too, took a photo yesterday at the baby shower. Dude, you're really out here, man.
I can't believe it. It's like, I can't believe that you are in public to where you're accessible.
Yeah. Oh, you'll take a picture? The guy literally said to me, he started rambling about every fucking thing we've ever done.
Of course.
And I literally had like a minute because we were sort of sitting in the bar after the show, and I'll get into all this later, but after the show, the band, you know that thing that a lot of the smaller bands are doing now where they kind of get a spot near the door?
Sure.
And they greet everybody and thank them for coming out and whatnot?
Right.
Well, that's what the band was doing.
Uh-huh.
Well, the bar in Tangier is kind of right off of that hallway.
Yeah.
So we got ourselves a spot at the bar because we wanted to meet the band, but we were not going to stand in line.
Sure.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, celebrities don't stand in line to meet the band.
Oh, more to the point, alcoholics don't stand in line when they can go to the bar and drink. So we headed over to the bar and just had a couple of drinks. Well, I got up to run down to the bathroom, and as I was running down the hall, there was a guy there. There was one of the guys from the Babies was there, the keyboard player, Francesco, and he was talking to a guy. And I walked by. I didn't say nothing, I just walked by and took a piss, came back. As I was coming back, the guy that was talking to that guy was waiting in the hall. And he goes, "You're Chris Aiken, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Dude, I saw you walk by." And I waited here to get a picture with you.
Yeah, I waited to get a picture?
He waited in the hallway.
Oh, my God.
To get a picture with
Sure.
me. And I was like, okay.
And then you shook his hand and said, "Oh, by the way, I don't believe in washing my hands."
Yeah, exactly. Here. take my piss-stained hand.
Right.
Friend. No, I just talked to him for a couple of minutes and, loves everything about the show.
Right.
Couldn't stop saying catchphrases. That's always the funny thing too. When they come up to you now and it's like, "Oh, dude, hail and kill!" And they're waiting for that fucking big hilarious laugh.
Yeah, sure.
And this guy had a ball. "Oh yeah, fuck you, pal. Black olives matter." Yeah, had them all ready to go.
Sure. Well, I'll tell my quick celebrity sighting thing.
All right.
I got into Sioux Falls, South Dakota Wednesday evening about 9:00.
Right.
And beautiful weather. It was just perfect temperatures and everything. And the thing is Sioux Falls, I drove through there years and years and years ago when I used to drive a truck, and I don't remember much about it. It's just out in the middle of nowhere. And so this, it's a developing city. It's a kind of an up and coming city. And there's some new parts, and then obviously there's some older parts. But, they have an airport there, and the airport was literally 1.5 miles from the hotel. I mean, it was just, it was like, it's just like a little stop up the street. Oh, there's the airport, it's like that. Well, they can't get jets into this place. I mean, they get the small commuter jets, but they can't take like a 727 or 747 or, they can't take a big jet like that in there. Right. So everything that comes in there is like a 28-seater. Mm-hmm. So I took a commuter jet out of O'Hare and flew into, South Sioux Falls. And, the thing is that the difference between going to an international airport and going to one of these small hubs, right, security-wise, maneuverability-wise, being able to just walk off the plane and walk out to the outside and grab a taxi is just like there's no hassle at all. Everything was closed down. There's no security. They're not even there. There's no flights even coming out of there at that time of the night. The place is just dead. Nice. There's like you walk off the plane, and aside from the people that you just got off the plane with, there's nobody else in the terminal.
Ghost town.
Yeah, it's a ghost town. It's just like closed down for the night.
Dude, you're probably looking around going, man, is this really where I'm supposed to be?
Yeah. I hear crickets, it's just like, so, I just walk right off the plane, down the stairs, out the door. There's taxis waiting. Right. So I just banged on one of the doors there, and I thought, take me to the Sheridan. Was there in like 3 minutes.
That'll be 30 cents, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So he pulls up to the front of the Sheridan. As soon as I open up the door, there's Mick Brown holding court outside the hotel. He's out there with a couple of people just laughing and cutting up like Mick does. And I got out of the taxi and walked up and just put my hand on his shoulder. Fuck, dude, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I said, come on, Mick. You know I wouldn't miss being here. He goes, well, I'm glad you're here. Let's go have a drink.
Nice.
Immediately. Let's go have a drink.
All right.
And I said, well, I just before I was able to say I'm buying, Mick goes, and I'm buying.
All right.
I said, all right, let me check in real quick and we'll go have a drink.
All right.
So they had this nice little bar. And we went down there, and of course, Mick is drinking his Jim Beam and Cokes.
Right.
And, I had a few Jack and Cokes, and we're just sitting there cutting up, and he's just telling me all kinds of stories and, how it's been the last couple of days. And,
sure.
He's just like, hey, Mick, he just rolls with everything.
Right, sure.
And we basically sat there till, I don't know, the bar closed, I think, at 11. So we were the bar closes at 11.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. So these people, of course, they see Mick sitting there, and they got to start filtering up to say hello, and they want to take a picture, and I'm sitting there, and people are, well, who are you? Who are you?
Said I'm Don Dokken.
Yeah, and I said, I'm Neeley from the Classic Metal Talk. No shit! Holy cow! Let me take a picture. The whole thing. So this guy, guy wouldn't even know. You wouldn't think he was a metal fan or anything like that. Very Poindexter guy,
Okay.
Glasses, got the short hair, very business suit guy.
Right.
Younger guy. I'd say probably in his late 30s.
Okay.
And he walks up and he goes, hey, I heard, he goes, who are you again? I said, I do the Classic Metal Show. Oh, dude, I download your podcast. You know that thing you do with Daddy Trunk? You know how you guys are, how you're always bashing on him? That arrogant bastard deserves everything you guys say about him. He says, I used to listen to him all the time, and he just, he goes, the way that you guys rip him apart and make fun of him, he said, that is just the funniest shit ever.
Jesus, do we really rip him apart?
I said, well, we don't really rip him apart. Well, yeah, but you point out the fact that he's very arrogant and pompous, and I like that. That's what he said. I was just like, all right. I said, listen, I got no issue with that. Well, but you make it funny, though. The way you talk about it, you make it funny, because that's exactly what I think of him.
Nice. Okay.
I'm just like, okay.
Speaking of Ed, was he there?
No.
He was not there?
He was not there.
My goodness, how could that be? I thought he was responsible for this reunion.
I don't know, but no, Eddie Trunk was not there.
What the hell? How can the guy that was responsible for making it happen not show up?
So Mick and I are sitting there, and these chicks, there was some kind of like a medical professionals convention or something going on.
All right.
And a couple of chicks, just your typical nurse looking, RN type people, healthcare people,
okay.
Glasses, not majorly attractive. Just, they're just healthcare workers.
Right.
They come up and, my husband is such a big fan of Dokken. Can I get a picture? He's just going to be so jealous,
Right.
And a few of these people were kind of gathered around. The bar's closing down. They go, listen, we got a suite up on the 6th floor. We're kind of partying up there. You want to come up? So Mick's like, yeah, what the fuck? Let's go.
Fuck yeah.
So we went up there, and of course it's like 5 dudes and 2 chicks.
Oh, damn it.
So Mick and I kind of hung out there. I chatted with some of the guys, the guy that, listens to us. He's introducing me to his buds, Hey, dude, this is Neeley from the Classic Metal Show. I listen to his podcast all the time, man. Right. So I'm sitting there just talking to those guys and stuff. Had a couple of drinks. Okay, listen, I gotta go. I got things I gotta do in the morning, So out the door. I was in bed by midnight. Big exciting evening on Wednesday night in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Wow, you are a party machine.
Well, there was nothing going on. I mean, they roll up the sidewalks basically at 8:00.
Dude, is there nothing going on like in the facility?
Well, I was in the hotel, and then the Badlands Pawn is basically across the street.
Okay, is it a casino or
no?
just
No, it's like stores. There's a gun shop in there, which I'll tell you about because I know you'll really dig this a lot. Okay. And then they melt gold over there. They actually have the whole system over there where they melt chunks of gold and they make stuff out of it. Like they got a jewelry shop over there that they actually have smelted gold.
Okay.
And they put it in molds and all this other thing. You can actually watch and do it,
Right.
And then they got the radio station. And then they got this little area, they call it the saloon. It's got the swinging doors like in the old Westerns. Right. And there are some video poker machines and things in there, but I wouldn't call it a casino exactly, but it is a gambling thing,
Okay. Sure.
And then they got a deli, and then they've got the pawn shop area where it's a pawn shop,
Right.
And then they sell all their own merchandise there. They've got all this swag, shirts, T-shirts, biker jackets, all kinds of stuff. So it's all branded with Badlands Pawn on it.
Right.
And, it's a store. And then, of course, they got the big concert venue, which, I'm sure if you saw any of the YouTube videos, a lot of people played there. Kiss has played there.
Yeah.
Kiss has played there. Twisted Sister, obviously Dokken, Stephen Piercy, all that kind of stuff. Just all those people.
Right.
And then they got the radio station, which is live. It's it's a glass booth, and you can walk by and watch whoever's on the air do their shit.
Right.
And then they got the TV component, which is very similar to what T-Radio V is like.
Okay.
It's a radio station, but everything has high def cameras, and they got different angles, and the morning show broadcast on the 2 Fox TV affiliates in the area.
Okay. Right.
So it's kind of like what Imus does, sure. Who does he do that for? MSNBC or somebody like that?
Right.
Yeah. So it's just like that. So when I was in the hotel, when I turned the TV on Thursday morning, the default channel is the morning show over at K-Bad.
Okay.
And you can watch them do the radio show.
Right.
So, obviously with Dokken being in town, each morning they had, a different member of the band.
At 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning?
Well, it went from 6 to 10, I think. And so they got one of the guys on at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Those guys had to want to commit suicide.
Well, that's kind of part of my story when we get into the whole Dokken thing. I'll tell you about that too. So, but they had the whole band down there at one point, which I saw you posted up on the Facebook, the video from that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the TV radio station thing.
Sure.
And obviously the big concert hall venue, and it's entertainment complex is what it is. It's guns. I mean, they got a really badass gun store there. You can just about buy any kind of gun you want, be it a semi-automatic, a handgun, a shotgun, anything.
Okay.
All these guns. Just,
Nice.
They had the Judge there. They had, Smith & Wessons and, just every gun manufacturer that you could think of, they have one.
Okay, cool.
And, they have a gun range there to where, you can shoot an automatic over there.
Right.
But it's like $50 for, you get like a magazine of bullets and you go in there and go, $50, $50.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Just that quick.
Yeah, I know I go through a lot of money when I go to the range.
Sure.
You burn money fast at the range. That's why you definitely don't want to shoot anything semi-automatic.
Sure. Yeah. So you can go in there and shoot it up and, do all kinds of stuff. And then, they got a racetrack there,
Wow.
a raceway. And I mean, this Chuck Brennan, he's building this whole block up to be kind of like a mini Las Vegas.
Yeah, he's taking over.
Yeah, basically. And their signs are all over the town.
Okay.
All over the city.
Right. Is he from there? I mean,
yes,
why
he is from Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Okay, and that's why it's there.
Yeah,
that's where it's from.
Well, this guy who was driving us around, his name was Rick. He was the shuttle. Actually, he's like the manager over there, but he was driving the shuttle, and he says he's known Chuck since he was 16.
Okay.
And Chuck made his money on those payday loan type things.
Right, check cashing places.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He made his money on that. And he's very, very wealthy guy. This Rick, the driver, was telling us that not only does he live in Sioux Falls, but he's got like a place in Las Vegas, and he's got a place in California, and he's got a place in like Florida.
Right.
So this guy has different homes around the country, and
sure,
he has this thing going on, and so. But here's the thing: he's very. What is the word when you kind of give back to the community? What do you call that?
Charitable?
No, he's a philanthropist.
Okay,
is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely is into philanthropy because he has this music school. Which, if you saw any of the photos that I took of the Dokken rehearsals,
yeah,
he has this building that's a music school for kids,
right?
And all these rock stars who come in to perform at the Badlands Pawn, he gets them to maybe come in a day early or something and give a lesson to these kids because this music academy is free.
Oh, that's nice.
And it is state of the art in there. State of the art. That stage that Dokken was rehearsing on, that's the performance stage. So when these kids, get to be good enough, they actually put on like a show or a concert, and they can jam out on that stage. But then they got individual music rooms in there.
Right.
And so these guys can go into these individual music. They got like a drum room and guitar room and keyboard room and, and it's all decked out with all the latest and greatest musical equipment and audio equipment. I mean, just top flight stuff. It's not like cheapy, audio, Audacity stuff. It's like top of the line, like electro voice mics and, just all that kind of stuff. And
charging 40% on a check being cashed, he should have plenty of money to go first class. That's
Sure. But the thing is that the kids in the area can come to this school for free.
See, that's cool. That's very cool.
So they can come in there and they sit and teach them music and it doesn't cost them anything.
Did you get to meet Chuck or no?
I did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
cool.
I did. He was there. I just said hello to him. I didn't really carry on a conversation with him. I just said, one of his guy introduced me to him and told him who I was. And hey, good to meet you. Nice. Thanks for coming.
Nice.
One of those things. And, that was about it. But, yeah.
Didn't go, dude, I download your podcast.
Not at all. Not at all. So, yeah, his stamp is definitely all over Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Everywhere you go, there's a billboard for K-Bad, and there's Ron Keel up there on that billboard, Ron Keel, 10 a.m. on K-Bad,
nice.
That stuff. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting. You wouldn't think that they get the what do you want to call tourist traffic through there?
Yeah.
But he's trying to make that like a tourist destination.
Right, like Vegas.
Yeah, and it's taken time, but what he's built up there so far is pretty impressive.
Right.
I mean, and I'm gonna play to the guy on our Facebook here, but this guy has gone absolutely top notch on everything he has put into place over there.
Right.
I mean, nothing is not done right. I mean, everything is just. A lot of thought went into everything. You could tell that right down to the most finite details that they have thought this out.
Right.
And it's a beautiful facility. Beautiful.
Well, let's hope he doesn't go the way of Bugsy Siegel.
Well, here's the thing is that you can build a venue for musical performances, but Chuck has built this venue specifically for rock and roll.
Right.
That's the thing. It's geared toward the rockers.
So there won't be any Snoop Dogg shows there.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But the point is that this is sort of every rock and roller's dream.
Okay.
Because because it's outfitted, it's decorated, it's everything is based on guns, gold, and rock and roll.
Right.
So everything that you and I believe in, just heavy-handed, pistol-waving, rock and roll attitude. It's got everything. It's got that.
So a lot of Ron Keel came out in the development.
It did, absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely. And that little radio station that they have there, just stunning. The computerization and the boards and the mics and everything that they have in there. Just as state of the art as you can get it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And, Ron invited me down to be a part of his show yesterday. And of course, I wanted to get down there. I wanted to see this whole thing in operation. But, man,
Sure.
You should have seen Ron. He's up there on this. He's got like three computer screens up there. One has the kind of like what we use with the SAMs.
Okay, yeah.
It has a radio program up there to where you can basically search and pick up songs and all kinds of stuff. All he has to do is put either a time parameter in there or something in the title or an artist, and it just populates and shows you everything you want to know.
Sure.
And then he just puts it in queue and, puts his sweepers and his bumpers in there.
Yeah.
With IDs.
He uses those things?
Yeah, he does.
I thought you don't use those.
He put all that in there, and then he's got a separate recording machine over there. It's kind of I've kind of got my studio set up in a similar fashion.
Right.
I don't have the high end stuff that they have over there, but it's a similar concept.
Right.
And you know how people we obviously take live callers here. Mm-hmm. This is a commercial radio station, so you don't know if you're going to get some dope on. So, of course, he can't take a live call.
Yeah, so they have the whole recording machine.
Yeah, and so the funny thing is that while I'm sitting there, the phones are ringing, and he says, K-Bad, it's Ron Keel. What's on your mind? And hey, man, I'm coming up to the Dokken show tonight, man. He goes, yeah, where are you coming from? And it's like, yeah, man, with these people, and he says,
yeah.
And then,
where are you coming from? 3rd Street.
Yeah. So he records the phone call, and then of course it's in a wave.
Right.
And he is like quick editing this shit down, like
Sure.
just cut, paste, edit down, and then next break comes out of the break with a song, and hey, caller, you're on the air on K-Bad, and it sounds like he's taking a live call, but it's just
right. We used to do that on 92.3. We had a machine that was just like that, and we used to do that all the time. It was fun.
Yeah, but man, he was telling me about hosting the Streets of Rock and Roll, which obviously you hosted for him, and as well as I have. Mm-hmm. And, these guys heard his show, which is one of the reasons he told me that's one of the reasons he got hired to have an air shift there, as well as contribute his music, live performances and things. But they were under the impression that because he could churn out that podcast, that he was very well versed in, audio engineering. And so they figured he could just walk into that studio and just start whipping buttons and all kinds of stuff. He goes, don't you know that 1 hour show took me 6 hours to put together? He said, but I didn't want to come in there looking like an amateur. And, he says, so I came in here for training, and they're just like, well, here's the board, and here's the wave station, and here's here's the song pick. And he goes, good luck. Any questions? No, I think I got it. Okay, good luck. And he's just like, holy fuck, I have no idea what this shit is.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah. Well, man, he was just whipping around on the board. I mean, obviously he's been doing this for over a year plus now.
Yeah.
So he's well versed with that equipment, but even me, how much of a gearhead I am when it comes to equipment, and I know a lot of that stuff, but man, the whole console was a digital console, and all the editing equipment and his his broadcaster and he was showing me all the stuff that it does and everything. I was just like, oh, holy shit, that was expensive.
Yeah. Well, I just from listening to the interview that you did with him when because I recorded it, I was watching, because you gave me like about a 15-minute heads up, but you weren't sure exactly.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was going to bring me on with him or just have me sit and watch or just shoot the shit with him. I didn't know what he wanted to do. He said, yeah, come on down,
Right. Well, I was watching the software itself, the page update and whatever.
Yeah.
And it is the slickest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But the page... So at one point, I think something by Skid Row played, Youth Gone Wild or whatever song. The page updates with the album art, and then there's a block underneath it that updates with a full bio on the band, and then there's another block that you can click to buy the song, and then there's another block that you can click to go to their website. And I was like, who the fuck is updating this thing? If you've got 20,000 songs in your bank, which I've got to imagine that they do.
He said their playlist is about 1,000 songs.
But that's active playlist.
Yeah, that's active playlist, correct.
But the total playlist is probably 10 times that.
Yeah, right? Sure.
So somebody's got to be updating all of that information constantly.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the company, probably is the company that makes the software.
Yeah, they might subscribe to the software, and so anytime they play a Skid Row song, it just automatically generates that page or something.
Right, but I mean, it was impressive watching. I mean, and that's me being a web dork.
Of course,
I looked at that and I was like, God, because I remember with the Sams. With the Sams, you had to upload all the art into a folder, and you had to link it to fucking albums and songs.
Sure. And
you had to make it into a directory, and then it would upload on the fly. It would like connect through an FTP and launch this was just to get an image in the name of the song to display on the screen.
Right.
And it was a big pain in the dick to where I just kind of didn't do it.
Yeah. I get you, but again, they spared no expense,
right?
When because every single one of their mic stations has an electro voice, which each one of those mics are like $400 some odd a piece, because I have one. I'm talking on it right now, and sure. I spent I believe $400 just on the mic.
Jeez,
So all the mics are electro voice, and of course I think the mixing board is like a 26 channel or 30 channel, and it's a whole digital thing. And then he's got all the software, and just what you were talking about is, the online software that updates whenever they're playing a different song from a different artist. And then of course, when Ron flips in and he's talking, then his own page comes up.
Right. And his picture drops up there. Hey,
exactly.
it's me, Ron Keel.
Exactly. And then it was funny because I didn't ask to be on the air.
Right.
But he said, yeah, let's do some talking, let's promote your show. Just make sure everybody knows who you are and where it comes from and how they can hear it and this and that. And then, of course, you heard at the end, he goes, yeah, I was a little nervous having you on the air because I had my finger on the dump button. He goes, because I know what you guys do.
Right.
I said, I can do clean.
Yeah. Your comment was the best, though. You're like, I'm not the dirty one here.
Yeah, I said, I'm not the one with the filth mouth. That's Chris.
Right.
So
I've worked clean with Ron.
I know
before.
you have. I know, but yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed that. It was a good time. I didn't expect it. He just said, "Yeah, swing by the radio station tomorrow during my shift."
Yeah.
And obviously I did, and he invited me in, and it's just like, yeah, this is the thing, and this is what I do, and here's the console, and he gave me the whole lowdown and everything. Sure. And he goes, yeah, let's get on the air, let's talk. I'm just like, all right, I'm in.
And then he flipped over the little egg timer and said, okay, go.
Yeah.
3 minutes, let's go.
Sure. Yeah. So that was cool of him to allow me to do that and let me be a part of the show.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Mm-hmm. So, needless to say, it was an eventful week in that regard. And, sure. Since we're in the top of the next hour here, I'll play a couple of tunes, and then I can give you the whole Dokken lowdown for those of interest who are interested in that.
Cool. Very cool. By the way, did you get the email I sent you?
I have not looked at emails. You mean, are you talking about what you want to do tonight?
Yeah, just one topic.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine with me.
Because all I'll say about that is, holy shit.
Yeah. Did you send me the audio?
I sent you the audio.
Okay, because I haven't looked at my email.
We can talk. We can say it briefly. I interviewed Jimmy Bauer from Down and Superjoint today.
Okay.
And I got into it about Phil Anselmo.
Mm-hmm.
And I positioned it, as you'll hear, the way I truly feel. And I said over and over on the show that it was just a bunch of fucking PC pussies being pussies.
Okay.
And trying to be outraged about something.
Okay.
And oh my God, did Jimmy Bauer have a lot to say
sure.
about that. I mean, a lot to say. So,
well, I see the IDs. Let's see here.
The first thing should say.
Okay, all right, I got it. Yeah, I see it up there. So I'll pull these down during the break.
Okay.
And we can do that.
See, more IDs. I'm ruining the show.
Yeah, I know. You gotta play an ID for every song you play.
Well, yeah, and with Jimmy, I got 3 IDs.
Oh, my God.
I wrecked 3 bands. I wrecked Superjoint, I Hate God, and Down. What an asshole I am.
You are an asshole. You fucking suck, man.
Well, I know one fat cunt that discovered me and learned that I'm an asshole last night. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Oof, bitch.
All right. Well, let's play a couple of songs. I'm going to go get a drink, and then for those of you who want to hear Dokken talk, that's what I'm going to do next. If you don't want to hear that, then go away.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, go away.
Go the way of Rufo. Get away.
Yeah. You don't have to listen.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people who really do want to hear it, but regardless of that, it's just like...
Whatever.
Yeah.
No one gets to dictate what we talk about ever.
I know.
I don't care if they're happy about it or not. Don't listen if you're not.
Right.
See, there's Jacko with the Z's.
Yep, of course.
Don't fucking listen.
Yeah, go away.
Go fucking jerk your dick to some Night Demon.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Jarvis Weatherby. Oh! I get it.
All right. Well, let's play a couple of tunes here. You got something you want to hear?
Since we're saying Badlands, how about some Badlands?
Okay.
How about, you got Dusk over there or not?
I do.
How about Dog?
Let me see here. Badlands. Here it is. Dusk. Dog. All right. Number 7.
Perfect.
All right. Well, we're going to play a couple tunes. I'll come back and we'll talk a little Dokken. We'll be rocking with some Dokken.
All right.
Right here on KBAD.
KBAD 94.5 FM.
94.5 FM. It's Ron Keel here on KBAD.
No, it's the Metal Cowboy, Ron Keel.
I loved it. So good. So good. Well, Ron was very good to me. So and he says he'd love to call in and,
sure,
tell us, give his thoughts on this whole week as well. So maybe we'll get him on next week. But anyway, here it is. This is Badlands, and this is Dog exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.
Hello, this is Jeff Martin, and you're listening to the Classic Metal Show.